broadcasting live out of a basement in Appleton, Wisconsin. You're tuned in to Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. We're the show that gives you an opportunity to call in and be a part of the show. Our call-in line is 920-358-0795. Core. Audiochonk features talented members from other well-known local acts like Face for Radio and Naughty Monkey. Earlier this year, band member Drew Ahlborg announced his decision to take a step back from performing, which led to a string of retirement performances. Later today, it will be the end of the road for Audiochonk. I'm excited to welcome them onto the show today as they prepare for their final performance. I'd like to welcome Drew and Derek to Fox Cities Core on WCZR Code Zero Radio. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm waiting to give Mike the walk of shame here.
The walk of shame, yes.
Yeah, so people might notice there is an empty microphone in the middle there. Mike, is he typically the guy in the band that shows up at the last minute?
I mean, not totally.
Usually, no.
Not totally.
Today we're going to make an exception.
I thought, like last night at the fire, he was like, I got to go home and macrame a pair of jean shorts or something. So if he shows up in jorts that are bedazzled, don't act like you're not impressed.
Well, I'm kind of a little weary to get too far into the band conversation before Mike gets here, but let's talk about a little bit about the history. I know, Drew, you were here earlier in the year, and we talked a little bit about the history, but now we have Derek here who can add a little bit of color to how the band started.
Yeah, I mean, it's really... For those of you who haven't seen it, Andy actually did a really good job of like segmenting out the last interview, and like he put together that nice little montage on like the story of Audiochonk and how we all met. But you know, like everyone loves a good prequel, so I'll let Derek tell his lead into the band.
Hey. Well, yeah, I don't have much of a different story, I guess. After being gone out of the music scene for many years, I had come into contact with Dan Felke from Hindsight, which they hadn't been playing for a very long time either. So, and I've worked with Dan too. So I mean, I've known him since I was a wee little lad. Him and his brother, and so they decided they were getting back together and they needed a drummer, and we did an audition, and then that was it. And we did that, and then Mikey decided he wanted to do some other stuff. I think he had some family stuff going on, so I believe Drew was out, saw me playing with them, and the Face for Radio went away, and I got a call or a text or whatever it was, and we just got together and jammed and.
Yeah.
And just vibed and took it from there.
I basically saw Derek play drums and I said, I want to play music with a guy that can drive a drumstick through both the beater and resonant head on a Tuesday. Yep, that's my guy.
Yep, there it is.
We had the second solstice, I think it was during COVID, it was inside. And I said, wow, I walk up to Steve Wiegert, who runs sound for Point Source Productions, great guy. And I said, man, that snare sounds like sex. And I was like, how do you have it EQ'd? And he's like, I don't even have it mic'd. He just hits that hard.
Yes, it's very costly. Takes many pieces of lumber.
And for people just tuning in, we've got Drew Ahlborg here on the far side. We've got Mike Casey in the middle. Then we've got Derek Rice over on the far side there. You're missing one member of the band today.
Austin. He also was macrameing jean shorts last night.
I see I've already missed the beginning of the Drewisms.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really a gift. It's really a gift.
No, he Infrared played at the Sardine Can Wednesday night, which is always you hurt the next day after those. And then last night they played at Maloney's, and we actually went out and saw them for a little bit and caught the end. And he's just like, tomorrow I'm just gonna sleep. I'm just gonna sleep because I know tomorrow night's gonna be a long night. And I was like, yes, we will enter a new realm of tired, but it's okay.
You guys are in so many different projects. Do you try to support each other? I know some of you are in the same projects, kind of multiple projects with each other, but do you try to get out on days off and see the other projects that are going on?
I'll let these guys go first.
Yeah, I think that, whenever, I've got a day where I don't feel, super tired and I'm able to get out and support, I think that's part of the great part of this of the scene around here, is that there are so many great musicians, even bands, but musicians in and of themselves. And I think the cherry on top is like when you get to be friends with these people, it's a lot more fun to go out and support them. So whenever I get a chance and I've got a free night, yeah.
Yeah, I agree too. Yeah, we've done a lot of work. Drew did a lot of work this past summer with the acoustic shows, and so we all kind of try to support that scene and keep each other going. So,
and I think even if it's not our own projects, because like you said, like for me, my other project is, I play with Mike, and Derek comes out and he'll run sound for us, or he'll just show up just to support. But like for us, we also know a lot of other musicians and other bands, and it's fun to go out as a band and support other really great people in what they're trying to accomplish. And in this area, there are a lot of really talented songwriters. So whether it's originals, covers, tributes, I don't really care. I mean, I said it in the last interview too. Like I'm one of those people, if there's a band on stage and they're doing obscure Limp Bizkit covers in the style of mariachi or something, and I look around and everyone's having a good time, I'm like, well, when in Rome. I mean, I get out my accordion and...
You do keep it in your trunk, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
Keep a lot in my trunk.
I always keep my kazoo in my cargo shorts, so it's good.
The people watching the show too, this show is kind of the end of the road for Audiochonk, just kind of talking about your career as a band and the show tonight. But if you've got a memory of Audiochonk, or you want to call in and talk about the first time you saw them, or you want to even just leave the message in the chat, I'm sure the guys would like to hear some of the stories.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's, for me, this band was exactly what I needed after Face for Radio. I needed to be with guys that wanted to play high energy stuff and really get after it. And we've had a lot of different members, especially on bass, in this band over the years, between Ryan Goes, Sarah Huss, we had Zach Van Evenhoven, and Blake Hahn played drums for a bit, and all the way into Austin. And it's been like this ride but there's been one constant, and it's that it's just laying lumber. I mean, and it's what I needed, out of a project. I couldn't go back to doing patio stuff anymore. I just didn't want to at the time. I wanted to be in a serious band that worked really hard. And for me, like vocally, I wanted to learn to be a really good singer and really work on it. And, I've gotten a lot of compliments, and it was a lot of fun at the Rock for Rick benefit. Seeing people that I haven't seen in over 2 years that were like, wow, your guys' band vocally, all the harmonies and everything. And it's like, this is really cool, because I didn't, like, that wasn't on my start a band after Face for Radio bingo card. I was like, be known as a really great vocal group. It's like, I'm not trying to be in the Eagles, man.
Yeah.
So when you started Audiochonk, you said your idea was you wanted a hard-hitting rock band. How did you approach what songs you were going to take on and how you were going to change them or make them your own? Do you try to play them as close to the originals as you can?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to leave that to Mike.
No.
Yeah. So I think about the process of coming up with songs. And, at one point, I really like spreadsheets. And so I put together this Google sheet, and it fed to another Google sheet, and it was, we've got song ideas in this column, and then, I'd have little voting columns for each band member, and then it was yes, maybe, or no, and then it was a very complicated thing. It was, great intentions, but I think in terms of the songs we played, I felt, and you guys can correct me, if it wasn't your experience, but I felt like voting on songs as a band really had to do with how tight and how deep in the pocket we could get with the cover. For me, one of my favorite parts about playing in this band is people put in a lot of work, and so it helps me to feel like, oh, well, I should put in the work too, because these guys are counting on me. But also, when we're playing songs, and I think this is the experience for a lot of musicians. There are points in songs where you'll be coming out of a bridge into a chorus, or you'll be coming out of, or there will be a drum fill or a guitar riff, and there's this moment where it just transcends everything that you're doing and connects with this primal central part of who you are, like as an artist or a musician or a player or whatever it is. And I had so many of those moments with this band that I think when we were picking songs, at least when I was picking songs, I'm like, what's something that we can capture the most of those moments with? So that's been my experience, at least.
Mm-hmm. I'll let Derek go next.
Yeah, I think in the beginning we really tried to be more new, a little more unique than a lot of, with our picks and songs, the stuff, other bands wouldn't play.
Motion City soundtrack.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of bucket list songs for
right.
us.
Yeah. So we really tried to do that. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. So obviously we play a lot of the staples that, people want to hear and enjoy, going out to hear. But yeah, we did make, a lot of mashup stuff, a lot of, made a lot of stuff our own and in our pop punk style, which is really awesome. I mean, we all grew up on that. So
yeah. Staple of the diet.
It's definitely our wheelhouse. But we tried some stuff that didn't work out, and we just kind of learned through a couple of years what worked and what didn't. I think in the beginning we had a lot more time and energy to try some different things, but some stuff, there's those staples that I think we nailed down as closely as we can to the original. And then there's some stuff we played around with and just had fun with. So
I think one of the iconic moments for me was, we learned, When You're Around by Motion City soundtrack, and we learned an obscure Fall Out Boy cover, and we mashed them up, and we played this show 4 years ago in September at Game Day. Derek, you actually posted it in your memories, and it was like, that was 4 years ago. I feel like I woke up and it's 4 years later. We played a show up in Green Bay 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we had Tad sub on bass with us, and this guy walks up to me at the end of the show and he said, "Are you guys going to play Motion City soundtrack tonight?" And he's like, "I haven't seen you guys in like 2 years." And he's like, "But we're here for my niece's birthday party and I really enjoyed that performance." I said, "Do you know why we don't play that song anymore?" Because it said the people that love it go out to see bands once every 4 years. So apparently you correlate your voting with your going out to see Audiochonk. So it's an election year. I should probably go see those guys again.
We had a comment here from Dan Lawler. Said, "Do you ever play any Taylor Swift covers?" Asking for a friend.
Oh, we're going to drop one of those tonight.
Yes.
So Dan, you can come out and we'll let it rip, man. We do.
Well, plot twist. Dan is a friend of mine. And
I was going to say, I think he knows the answer to that.
Yeah, he lives in yeah, he's down in he's southwest Chicago suburbs. So, if he was a good friend, he'd come up. But
we had another comment here. I know I'm going to butcher the name. Will Kloiber.
Yes, Kloiber.
You're a master butcher. That was right on.
Says that other than being fantastic guys, Audiochonk has always been a great band to look up to, and vocally is the gold standard.
Wow.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, thanks, Will.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Kloiber is a Whammy-nominated artist.
Yes, he is. He's very talented.
So are you guys really going to hang it up after tonight?
Yeah.
This band. Yeah.
I feel like I'm questioning like Motley Crue if they're going to end up coming back. But you guys are done after this. Audiochonk is done.
Audiochonk is done. Yeah, it's ran its course. I'll let these guys speak to their interpretation of it, but I think every time, for me personally, I think bands, you can go out and still keep your friends, or you can play something until it kills you, and then you take out all your anger and aggression on everybody, and then you're not friends with people, and then all that time you spent was for nothing. And I think we all got to a point this year where we were tired, and we all looked at each other, and it was time. It's like knowing when it's done.
Yeah.
You know, I moved to Madison. You know, we're all in very different points in our life than when we started the band. And I think for me, and I'll say this and I'll let you guys go, but for me, I've been doing this every weekend for 15 years. And I mean every weekend. I mean, I tried looking back in my last 6 tax year planners for like shows, and I have not had more than 3 weekends off in 15 years. And I just want to go out and watch bands and hang out, and I'd rather call these guys and say, I don't need a show to play music. Do you guys want to get together in someone's basement and, you know, jam for an hour and a half and go play pinball or go have dinner as friends and enjoy? And then when we play songs in a basement, we can play Motion City Soundtrack, because we're not going to have the one guy in the back of them that's like, yeah, woo, Motion City, and everyone else is like, what was that? And it took us like a week to learn the song because it's really hard. So yeah, that's my interp. I'll let you guys go next.
What was the question?
Like, are we done?
Oh,
is the
done.
band
Yeah,
done?
yeah, yeah.
Is there, are we going to do the thing everyone else does and say we're done and then still play 4 retirement shows a year?
You know,
That's a negative Batman.
yeah. I mean, who knows what's in the future? But it makes sense, I think, to be done. Like, that feels like the right decision to be done in this group. I think all of us have played. I know all of us have played music for a very long time and have been involved in lots of different things. And what's great is there are always other opportunities out there. There's always ways to be fed musically. And what's tough when you're playing at, you know, in the area or the sphere that, you know, bands like us play in, you get booked somewhere and you got a contract and you get paid, and really it's a really far cry from when I was trying to practice a G chord standing up in my bedroom, you know. And so I think there can be this slow slide into grinding through things, you know, because you put in the work over so many years to become competent at your instrument. And then you reach this point, you're like, well, you know, it's fun to go out and play and get paid, but then that can become the focus. You know, when you talked about jamming, Derek and Drew and I practiced in what was Derek's basement. And we started jamming on Green Day's album Nimrod. Insomniac. Insomniac. And we just started jamming and playing. It was like post-practice. And I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but that was the most fun at a practice I had in a very, very long time, because I wasn't learning stuff or playing stuff for a gig. You know, I was like, hey, this is fun. And it brought me back to, you know, learning a G chord or rocking out to Green Day in my bedroom, which is really the reason I think that we all start doing this. So, you know, there's lots of other opportunities, but I'm going to be looking for projects and outlets and things that really feed that, you know, G chord in the bedroom, you know, piece of me that maybe has been a little neglected for a while. So,
yeah.
We had a comment, Audiochonk, you guys have had some different members that have come and gone. One of those, you mentioned them at the beginning of the show, Sarah Lynn Haas, commented, "It was a pleasure playing with you lads." Has to be the Irish twist on it.
Yes.
I look forward to seeing you tonight. Thanks for keeping beer in your sets.
Yeah. So when Sarah was in the band, there's a couple songs that we did that really check some bucket list items. Stuck in America.
Sugar Cult. Yeah.
Sugar Cult, man. Oh, love. We did Hurricane by Something Corporate. Beer, and then Beer. Yeah. And it was funny when she's like, I want to play Beer, and I was like, and I'm gonna sing it, and I was like, well, do you want to switch guitar and bass? And she's like, no. And she's just walking around and singing and just killing it, and I'm like, this is so much. It's fun to have talented friends.
Yes,
it just is.
No.
Was it hard when somebody would leave the band and then replacing somebody? You get almost like a vibe going, then all of a sudden it's disrupted. How long did it take to get back in the swing after that would happen?
For me, it was more preventative than anything. I mean, like when this thing started, I was hell-bent on making it like an every weekend band. I wanted to be a thing. I wanted it to be really good, and I wanted to hit hard and hit fast. And it was like everybody, I felt like I was just dragging everybody. And I think that was just a personal, I mean, God bless this guy next to me. I mean, you know, I was always the person with like my eyes on the stars and in the clouds, and he's like holding my feet on a plywood platform, like, dude, don't go. He's like, we need people to want to do this. And it's just it took a lot out of me. Actually, before Austin joined the band, we all sat down. It was Sarah, Derek, Mike, and myself, and I just sat down and said, here's the deal. I'm not going to do this thing where we all fight with one another. Like, we're all tired. Sarah was working, she drove from Indiana, played a show with us Friday, a show with us Saturday, and Sunday didn't see her wife, and drove back to Indiana. And I felt so horrible. And I'm just like, I'm really putting, and she knew what she signed up for, but it was like, I felt like we were just sacrificing personal relationships left and right for this thing, and it just didn't feel right. So I sat everybody down and said, I'm going to keep going. If you don't want to do it, this is the moment to tell me, and I'll find new people. But after this, if this doesn't work, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I was going to be done 2 years ago. And then when Austin said he would join up, I didn't want to just play with anybody, and I don't know how you guys felt, but I was like, I don't want to just play with anybody. I'm not going to just go get somebody that I don't want to hang out with because they can play bass in this band and keep it going for no reason. That wasn't my thing.
Well, Derek, I'm kind of curious, because I felt like what moved the most in the band in terms of membership was the rhythm section. And like you said, there's a vibe, you get with a band, and there's so many nuances with the songs, even if you don't realize there are until someone isn't playing them. Yeah. So I'm curious what your experience was.
Yeah, anytime you have to get a new member, it's very disheartening. It's frustrating. It's a lot of work. You got to do it all over again. All the practices you have to redo, to get back on the same level, it's discouraging, but when you get there, it's great. Yeah. When you can get back to where you need to be. But, having to do it several times, and, these guys had to go through that with me, with some of my own personal battles. They had to find somebody to fill in while I figured some stuff out on my end, and and then they were gracious enough to give me another chance when I got that all figured out. So I'm very appreciative of that. It wasn't an easy thing to do, and they definitely took a chance, not knowing what could happen. So. But yeah, it's it's all part of 4 years of just reaching a point where you're tired and and think it's time to figure something else out. So.
And I don't know about you guys, but I've had a number of people say, "Oh, you guys will do a reunion show next summer like everyone," and I'm sitting here going, "No, next year when I want to see my friends, I'm not going to have a show. I don't need a crowd." Yeah. We'll all go to Rye and have a nice night, and we'll go watch a band, and we won't have to set anything up or tear anything down.
Yeah. Well, it's hard, too, because you invite friends to see a play. They come, they expect to talk to you.
Right.
But you're kind of doing a job. You're working. You've got to get your stuff set up, and it makes it really difficult to relax and have a nice conversation with somebody that's not, you're waiting for the next thing to do.
Right. 100%.
We've had a couple more comments here. Let's try to get to them before they get buried here. I believe this is somebody related to you, Drew. Denny.
Oh, okay.
I enjoy watching essentially my own live band Spotify hit list. Sad that it's coming to an end.
Interesting.
We also have Bob Minter. Bob says, will you at least commission a sculpture of the cat hoisting the boombox so that the image can live in infamy?
I'm going to do that, Bob, just for you, because I want it in some of the Code Zero radio like paraphernalia for like shows in the background.
Yes.
That's my brother Patrick put that together. We were in the beginning. We were trying to come up with a name. You know, naming bands is such a weird thing because I feel like
I hate naming bands.
Right, like when you need to come up with a band name, you're like, I'm just looking at things here. Table and Wall, like
Spider Poop and the Pig Wiggles.
Great band name. I mean, that's even better than what I have. But then sometimes, you know, I'm lying in bed. I'm like, oh, that would be a great band name, but then I don't write it down. You know, obviously.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we were playing with Audiochonk, and Patrick, I apologize. I forget if you came up with the name or it had the design.
It was the design.
The design, okay. So then we had Audiochonk. I think what I'm going to miss the least about this band is having to correct the band name. People are like, oh yeah, Audiochonk. I'm like, no.
Auto-check.
It's Auto-check. Like, it's an O, like a chunky fat cat. And people look at me like, oh, okay. I'm like, just don't leave. Just watch us. Like, it's fine.
It's going to be good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to miss that.
Well, I think it's funny that Bob made that comment because Bob caught on to it right away the first time he saw the band. He's like, I love that you're conveying a sense of humor and like you're just embracing the humanity of what you do. Like, you're not taking yourself so seriously. But then you guys get on stage and it's like, boom, boom, pow.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, you see the poster, you're like, who are these dipshits? It's like, and it's like, oh, those dipshits.
Oh, cool.
But it's yeah. Bob, I will get working on that. You will have your commissioned sculpture.
All right.
That's a Drew promise.
It's on the record.
It's on the record.
We had a comment from A.G. Weons. I don't know who that.
AJ.
Meow meow. What's the
Alec,
comment?
yeah.
And then,
Meow meow kitty.
They also said, OMG, it's that car band. Audiochonk. Audiochonk. Daniel Krieger says, all of the guys are insanely talented, but aside from music, they're all just genuine people. Super fun, humble, and an amazing group of people to be around.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Danny. I appreciate that.
And you guys are open to answering questions, right?
Yeah, we are.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about Brains, dude. We'll get off track for just a minute here. Green Day recently played in Milwaukee. Did you guys all go?
I went.
I did. I had tickets, and then I realized when you buy tickets on the third baseline for a show in Milwaukee, they're not great seats because the band is up by the batter's eye. I'm like, I got front row tickets to the back of the crowd, and it was like these were $400. I'm not loving that, but I did not go. But
well, they played. The set was extremely long, wasn't it?
It was a long. I was surprised because it was Dookie and American Idiot, both front to back, and then they had 5 or 6 other hits, that they played. And it's hard for me to judge the time because I got down there when the Linda Lindas started, which was get a good spot in the pit, that sort of thing, and it was like 5 o'clock or 5:30. And the Green Day played till like 11 or 11:30, and so just standing the whole time, and I'm not 25 anymore, so I'm standing there, I'm like, ooh, my back, like time to go get a water or something, So, but it was a long set, but it was awesome. I mean, Dookie front to back, like that's a bucket list thing for me, and in my mind, I'm like, this will never happen again, and because they're my favorite band, I had to do it. So it was amazing to see some of those songs that they probably haven't played, in 15 years, and to see them again, especially all by myself. What they did with that and the strings and Trey dancing on the stage, it was perfect.
Yeah, I would have missed that.
We had some fighting words here from my brother Tony. McNamara says Rancid greater than Green Day.
Ooh.
I'd want to know.
Tony's.
What does he mean by greater?
I think he probably means better.
Okay. I mean, that's possible. What I was struck by, because Rancid was fantastic. I agree completely. I know, I'm more closely connected, to playing and emotionally, whatever, with Green Day. They were my first concert, that sort of thing. So I'm assuming he has a connection like that to Rancid. But they were fantastic. What I was really struck by, though, was everybody who played Rancid, Linda Linda's, Smashing Pumpkins, at the end of the show, they were just so thankful. Just like, thank you. We can't believe we're here. Thank you so much, Green Day, for having us, that sort of thing. And I like that, we're kind of past the prime of these bands, and they can get out and they can play and have fun, and then be like, hey, we're just happy to keep playing. So, but I disagree respectfully.
Where did you land on game days being the place to play your final Audiochonk show?
I'll kind of take that, but then I'll kind of let you guys speak to something I think that you probably will want to say. So when we announced this was done, last year we played an Oktoberfest gig at Lion's Tail, and we literally sold them out of beer. And at the end of the night, the owner was like looking at me, and he's like, I can't believe tonight. He's like, you guys kept everybody in the tent. You took no breaks. You told me you weren't going to be able to sing. And to be fair, we did bring Mike Wendland with us to sing 80% of the songs that I sang, because my voice was gone. It was completely gone. And we just rocked it. And so we were looking forward to playing that as a repeat gig this year. Well, I reached out to our agency, and I was like, hey, this is going to be my last show, but I'd like it to be like a collection of my bands, and it'll help with the promoting. And it was kind of like, well, they're going to do their own thing. And then so I just aborted ship, and Chris Paulson owns the Daily Pint, Layla's, and Game Day, and he's always been great to me. Anything I've ever done, he's put it on his stages. And I thought, if I'm going to a dance, I'm going to go home with the person that brought me. And that's basically what it was. I told the guys, hey, I know we really want to do this Oktoberfest gig again because it was awesome, but this is just part of the decision to be done, is I want to be able to do that day what I want to be able to do without any politics or middlemen telling me what's acceptable and what's not. It's like, no, I want to go out on the terms that I want to go out to with my friends and play with the people that I want to play with, and that's that. But I'll let you guys kind of speak to what you thought about, or what you think about Game Day as a venue. Or
I think it's a great venue. It's nice place, nice stage, nice setting for all kinds of stuff with the playground. The little golf thing. I mean, it's
called mini golf.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
That's what I'm here for. Support you.
So I think it's very supportive of an entire family and a day event. So it's been really nice to be able to have those all-day events that like the Solstice that Drew puts together, and very much enjoy it. So I thank them very much for having such a nice venue.
I think that was that our first gig too as a band?
It was.
Ryan?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So that's it's a nice bookend.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a lot of family and friends coming to the show today?
Well, Drew had people coming in from all over the U.S. to see him.
Yeah, so by day I am an executive for a plastics company, and I travel all over the United States, and it was really cool. I was talking about, at a company function, I actually got a little emotional about it, just being a musician, and we were down in Greenville, South Carolina, and there was this house band playing, and my coworker, Kevin Fowler, was like, dude, get up there and play with them, and I was like, I hate that guy when I'm the band on the stage, so I'm not doing it. So you know this, Andy back in the Pudge days was like, hey, my friend's really good at drums. That's awesome. Where's he gigging tonight? Maybe I'll go watch him later. But I got kind of emotional about it, and I think several of my coworkers who I'm pretty close to and have mentored or worked really closely with made the decision to say, hey, we want to support you and be to this, so we're going to fly in. So last night I hosted a steak thing out at my folks' place, and I went and I bought a whole beef tenderloin and a bunch of fixins, and we hung out and had a bonfire. It was just really nice, and I have some coworkers driving up today from Madison to see the show, and I've had a number of friends from the past, from college, who watched our high school band. My brother came back to play drums again. We're gonna do an original song from our high school band tonight, so that'll be a fun thing for me. But how about you guys?
Yeah, I got some family coming. I don't know exactly, who's going to be there, but my family has been incredibly supportive of my musical projects over the years, and sometimes, they were the only people at those shows.
Yeah.
So I remember one time we played out at, I can't remember, it was Pineland Campground. Some campground, and my uncle, who started me on guitar, actually, he came up with his son from Milwaukee just to see the show, and then drove back. And so
it's like a 3-hour ride.
Yeah, so I'm just grateful to have family who's willing to do that.
Yeah, I don't have much in that aspect. I'm sure I have some friends and family coming, but I don't know. We'll see.
I didn't want to I don't want to get out of this broadcast without actually paying an homage to Tom Brannigan. Tom is Mike's uncle. Tom is a great musician. He's a stellar human being. He was one of the people that when I met through the tribute thing gave us our first chance to open for his Who tribute band called Substitute, Tales from the Who, and they're really good.
Incredibly good.
They're incredibly good. And I remember walking away that night going, we need to go back to the garage and put a lot more reps in because we need to be significantly better. And that was fun, but like nobody was like deprecating to us in any way. It was like they were super encouraging. And Tom comes to stuff and he notices like the things that have been proved over the years, and he's very granular about it. So I think it helps when you have somebody you really respect and is in your corner, and they're able to give you critical feedback. And then they notice that you did it, and they're not being. He was never pandering to me, because he's related to Mike. He's always been very direct. So I've posted a bunch of gratitude posts this week, and I'll still write the one that I had written for him. But he was the last one I was going to write one for, and I wanted to make sure as today's busyness ensues that it doesn't go unsaid that I really appreciate Tom.
Yeah, you've been doing gratitude posts this week. You hit up all your band members in the posts. Jason Lipsky, just a lot of people that you wanted to, say thank you to. We had a comment too along the vein of supporters. Mary Catherine said, "I just want to say that I'm so proud of all these guys, everything they have overcome in their personal lives, and rocked it out each weekend and showed up." So, thank you, Mary,
Thanks, Mary.
Yeah,
tuning in there. Audiochonk has a lot of great moments throughout the career of the band. One of them I wanted to talk about was Rick Harrison from Pawn Stars. Can you tell me how he came up on stage with you guys and did Sweet Child O' Mine?
Okay, so Mary, my girlfriend, was backstage, and she was kind of running interference because we, for many of our shows, run our own sound. Thankful to Derek and Drew putting all that together. I help, I pick things up and I put them down, just there to help. And it helps us walk away with a little bit more money, in our pockets, which is nice. But it also means that if the owner, or if somebody is, it's like, hey, could you turn it down, or could you adjust this? There's really isn't anybody, to help with that. So Mary was backstage, and apparently she was talking to Rick's assistant, and the assistant was like, hey, can my friend get up on stage? And Mary's like, no, we don't normally do that, being our bodyguard there. And then the assistant was like, well, it's Rick Harrison. And Mary's like, oh, yeah, absolutely get on stage. And so I caught the tail end of that, and I looked, and I didn't recognize him right away. Like, he looked familiar to me, but familiar in, like, is he family? Is he just a fan that comes out and sees us a lot? I just wasn't sure. And so then I thought he was going to like make an announcement like someone lost their car keys or whatever. And that EAA show was crazy. There were like 2,000 people under the tent, like people crowd surfing. Like
everyone told us too there'd be no one there. It's the last night, you guys. I mean, it's going to be pretty tame. You guys, stick to the acoustic stuff and just chill. There'll be like 100 people there, and I was like looking around at the end of the night, going, "We might die."
It did kind of feel that way. So Rick, I'm like, yeah, I guess come up on stage, and he gets up on stage, and then everybody freaks out, and then it clicks in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, like a celebrity, like that's pretty cool.
Well, before that moment, someone came up to me, and they were like, this dude that was like 6'7", he's like, I'm one of so-and-so's handlers, and it was loud, and I had one in-ear bud in, and he's like, can he come up on stage and sing with you guys? And I was like looking at all the people pouring drinks down the back of the subwoofers, and I'm like trying to police that, and this guy is crowd surfing up, and he's coming right at me, and I'm waiting for some body to get launched onto my pedal board, and I'm like, I'm just like, dude, just leave me alone, and all of a sudden I look back, and Derek's got this a chain on and his Hug Life shirt.
Yeah.
And it's
Sure,
this,
yes.
You had Sal, it's the same shirt.
oh, it's so awesome. And he's like, the guy from Pawn Stars is standing behind me, and I looked and I went, oh shit, this is real. this is gonna happen. And then all of a sudden he's walking up on stage, and then and I was like, I don't even remember what the joke was, but I was like, what do you think about doing a song with us? And he's like, priceless. And then and it's funny, Rick Armstrong, we must have been on the same wavelength, because he came up, I said, what's he gonna sing? And he said, I want to do something by Metallica. And I was like, best I can do is Sweet Child of Mine. So we were playing off the whole Pawn Star. So it was fun.
Did all the cameras go up then? And
yeah, and then all of a sudden it was like, 100 cell phones. Like, you could see people were recording it. And
it was cool that he did that. I mean, I feel like he kind of lowballs on the show a lot, but that was nice that he came out and gave you guys a little bit of, like, excitement and in that kind of a publicity where people are, recording it, and it sounds awesome. Like, I saw the first part of that clip. I kind of want to go back and watch the whole thing. How are you guys getting ready for the show tonight? Did you do a lot of practice? I know it's Infrared's playing tonight, Brain Stewed, Naughty Monkey. And you guys are going to be busy tonight on the stage, but like I've seen over and over, you guys are going to leave it on the stage tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Sir.
100%.
Preparing? I don't think we're preparing. I think we're just doing.
We're just doing. We didn't really rehearse. I rehearsed with Naughty Monkey because I haven't played with those guys in over a decade. And then, I think one of the things that's really great about these guys is we can all agree to pick a song and be adults and do the homework, so you don't, shit the bed in front of your hometown. That's always a plus, right?
Well,
It's nice. Yeah.
Janelle Barr, of course, huge.
Janelle's awesome.
Such a supporter of local music around here. She said, "Gonna miss the chonk."
Yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I just segue. That's not the right word, but I'm just touched by all the people who have decided to comment. I'm surprised, and I'm just so thank you all, for being a part of what we do and supporting us. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, like, this Audiochonk it's not like you guys just picked up instruments and started Audiochonk. You guys have been in bands for a long time. Derek, I want to point out, you were in a band called Antifreeze, which my band Pudge used to do stuff with. And Tony stopped by today to give you a gift. This was a cymbal you broke in the 90s and then signed.
That is awesome.
He wanted you to have it again.
I do remember. Oh, wow. Look at that.
You came for an interview and you left with gold.
And wow. Well,
and
it
it's funny,
at least.
Cool.
That's what happened when Derek catches a pinky on a small cymbal on his way down.
Wow, I can't believe you still have that.
It's the air.
It's the air from his pinky. He shatters cymbals.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've got a memorabilia wall at home or anything.
I do now.
You do now. That's sticking. That's great.
Good example
thanks,
here. That's awesome. How cool.
1998. Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy if you start doing the math on those numbers. And But do you guys have like just a memorable moment during the band? I know you had you told the story last time.
Led Zeppelin
the
one.
Led Zeppelin moment, but would that be the height of the band as far as the excitement in the band? Is that higher than the Rick?
I think different reasons for me. I mean, they're both a 10, but for a very different reason. 10 was I wanted to, like for the Led Zeppelin thing, I always wanted to surprise people. The Rick Harrison thing was just the whole night. We played the first set, and the guy's like, yeah, you're going to play to a big group of people, and then there's going to be like a night show, and then there's going to be nobody here. And we played to, 25 people and we played all of our slow stuff, because there was no one there. And I was like, well, let's keep it chill. Let's not blow people out of the tent. And then all of a sudden, that show is probably my favorite so far.
The EAA show?
Yeah, just because of how it went. I sat down at set break, and I said to my girlfriend, I'm like, there's nobody here. And I was like, and I kind of knew this was going to happen, but I said, with the Stone Temple Pilots thing getting rained out and our stuff needing to get kayaked back to the trailer, I said, I just wish we could have played something more meaningful. And all of a sudden, Austin's like, well, I don't really care. He's like, after this set break, whether there's 20 people here or 2,000, he's like, we have all of our bangers. Let's just rip these songs, go through the whole thing, just unleash the beast. And we did. It was such, I mean, I think I burned like 5,000 calories. I mean, I was so tired when we were done. But that for me was it. It was the Rick Harrison body passing, people diving onto tables and busting them like the Buffalo Bills fans. And I'm like, this is a cover band show. And at the end, I'm trying to help Derek tear down. And how many times do we get stopped by people like, best band I've ever seen at EE? I've camped here for 15 years. 15 years of camping here. You guys are the best band ever in the SOS tent. And I'm like, thank you. And then I'm looking at Derek like, we should probably just go get a tent because we're sleeping here. At this point, it's 4 in the morning and we're not going to leave.
That was the late one. Yeah, it was.
We've got sorry to cut in. I just want to get this before I forgot it. Got a message. The Lawlers love Mike Casey and Audiochonk.
That's very nice. Thanks.
That's very nice.
Dan and Kelly and Adeline, love you guys too.
I'm gonna have another name I'm gonna butcher here. Luis Maestri. Hello everyone and greetings from Durban, South Africa.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Nice. Greetings.
Oh, hello there. Thanks for joining us.
You know, I think what's interesting about this year is there's such a wide range of shows that we've played. And the EAA show is top 5 shows for me probably ever in my life that I've played. It's the kind of show that, at least for me, like you dream of playing when you think like, hey, maybe someday I'll be in a band, you know? And it's, you know, it goes from, you know, hey, I'm getting asked to play in a bar. I'm not making any money, but I get to be in a bar and play in a band. Like, that's super, super cool. To going to EAA and just having so many, and it was just so loud and just, you know, and for me, EAA was probably the high point, and I was like, man, everything after this is gravy. Like, I'm happy to have that we got shows we're still playing, but I'd be okay if we didn't play another one. Yeah. But contrast that with going up and playing. We played somewhere up north, and, you know, we ran around sound, so we, you know, it was 2 or 3 hour drive, so we're driving there early, then we set up, and then we played, and we played literally to 2 people in the bar until our second to last song when a bachelorette party walked in. And then we played 2 more songs, and at that point, you know, we didn't want to rally, we're like, we're done, and then we got to tear down, and, you know, it's a 10 hour, 11, 12 hour day, playing to 2 people, and so just the range of experiences this year has been crazy, but I feel very privileged to have been doing all of it.
You just gotta point out though, those 2 people liked it so much
that
they wanted us back.
That's right. They asked us to come back
for more money.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't understand. Do you guys love like just getting out a lighter and putting a bunch of money in a trash can? I said, like, is this, like, we spent $100 on Facebook promo. Like, we did everything we're supposed to do. And, like, sometimes it's just not a fit. Like, you play somewhere and it's like, well, they're happy to keep paying you. And I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. Another one of my top shows was 2 years ago. We played for the Greenville Lions. We played the after party. That was awesome.
That was another great show.
That was an awesome show. That one sticks out in my head. Summerfest. On the U.S. Cellular stage, really, it was a bucket list for me. Bastille Days last year before Foo Fighters.
That's an awesome one, yeah.
Don't make it sound like we were on the same stage. The Foo Fighters were playing.
No, I said Bastille Days. It was before the Foo Fighters show that night. We got to go down to Milwaukee as a band and play a show and then go watch the Foo Fighters. And it was just a really cool thing to be walking down to Foo Fighters and have 5 separate people stop. You guys are in that Fat Cat band. You guys slayed it today, man. That was so awesome. And Zoe is one of the people that picks the bands for Bastille Days, and he walked up like, I don't know, 30 minutes into it, and we had a 2 hour set. And it was, 98 degrees that day with 95% humidity.
Yeah.
And he brought Gatorade and water, and Thea Voras, who's the stage manager, was like, if you guys need to just take a break, like everyone's taking breaks. And Austin's the guy in our band who's, at the time, he was 23. He's like, we're not taking any breaks. And I look at Derek. Derek is soaked. just like, "Bah," and I'm like, and I'm dripping, and I'm like, I guess we're not taking any breaks, and we just, all of a sudden it was over, and I drank like 9 bottles of water. But that show also stuck out to me just in like how we didn't need a break, and in the heat, and we just gave it, and by the end of the show it was like, it was packed around the stage, and then walking down, it was validating to go down to watch my favorite band live, and to have a number of people stop you. We were in line at the C4 tent, and this lady walks up with her husband or boyfriend and his kid, and he's like, "You guys were so awesome today. I love the John Cougar Mellencamp, the way you do that song. That was really cool." And so I think for me, it's more a function of like the experience of seeing how people react to us. It's more not even just the crowd size, but.
Derek, what about you?
You know,
favorite shows, man.
Yeah.
I don't remember where this one was, but it was another one where, was it Zach, the one did the wedding for? We ended up doing the wedding for?
We did 2 weddings.
Wait, the one on the boat?
No. Well, I can't remember.
That was awesome, though.
It's more better than I do, but
Jesse, the one out in
we
Rapids?
played out in kind of in the middle of nowhere.
In Rapids, the wedding.
Yeah, it wasn't the actual wedding. It was they were there, but there was like, I don't know, 10 people there. But those 10 people were there. Like they they were loving it, and you know, so weirdly enough, I mean, that was one of the shows for me that was like, these people are so into this right now that I was just like, I'm gonna rock it up here.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, of course, usually. The more people there are, the more energy you have. I mean, it's, you know, the easier it is to not take those breaks and to just lay it down, you know, because the energy's there. But sometimes you don't need that. So that was one of my favorites. But yeah, I mean, the Rick Harrison thing, that's really, I don't know how you top that. That was really cool.
It's very cool.
So, you know, especially towards the, you know, the end of the game here for us, that's a really awesome memory to have. So
yeah.
So what are you doing after this? Like, are you going to continue to play in your other projects? Are you going to pursue something else?
I'll let Derek start.
Yeah.
Well, you know, through the course of the last, you know, few years of doing this, Drew and I have accrued our entire sound system. You know, we started out with the ragtag stuff we just all had kind of laying around. And, you know, we built it into, you know, a real system.
Yeah.
It's a big boy system.
So that's one of the ventures I'm going to take here from on, you know, with my time, is I'm going to go back into production. I mean, I did that years ago. I did that for about 5 years. You know, so I have experience. The studio work I've always done for years, stuff like that. So that's kind of going to be my contribution, you know, continuing now into the music world. You know, it doesn't require a lot of the other things, the extra time that, you know, being in a band does with the practices and, you know, the learning songs and stuff like that. So, but also individually, I guess, you know, I want to kind of do an acoustic thing, singing and playing guitar again, which has always been a passion of mine. You know, I've been back behind a drum kit for, you know, since I was 15. You know, I've dabbled in, you know, other things, but never really had an opportunity to really take it where I wanted it to go. So I'm gonna kind of try and do that kind of stuff too. So that's about what I'm up to.
I feel like, as cliche as it sounds, like the world is my oyster a little bit. Before I got into doing the full band or the rock band thing, I wrote my own stuff and put out a small album, but the last thing I released was back in like 2000 and, I don't know, 5, maybe 2006. And so I would like to pick that back up again. You know, lots happened in my life, obviously, since 2006, and so I think I've got a deeper well maybe to draw from for my writing. I'd like to continue Brain Stewed. I know Drew's got some decisions he's making, and so I've already talked with him, and, you know, if I can find, if he decides he's done, that would be, sad, but totally understandable. And I'd want to continue that project with another bass player. It obviously won't be as good, but and then I've been approached about a few different, few other projects. And so for me, the goal is to, how can I love what I'm doing, again, and really feel like I'm being creative. So I'm, going to evaluate those options. I also have been playing, my dad plays Irish tin whistle. And so I've been, my main instrument before I picked up electric was acoustic, and that was for many years. And so I've been playing traditional Irish music with him and a group of guys down at a place called Dublin's in Oshkosh every other Monday, or first and third Monday of the month. So that's a really cool thing I get to do with him. And I've kind of been making up the songs as I go along, and so I think I'd like to take some time and really learn the songs. And maybe there's some opportunity there. So I'm just looking for something that's going to not feel like a grind, I think. Yeah.
For me, it's I'm definitely taking a significant amount of time to heal. I'm going to have my neck surgery, and then hopefully I can feel my hands again. Tonight you're going to see me do some stuff, and you're going to say, how does that guy not feel his fingers? But I don't. And it's really hard because I don't get the same enjoyment out of playing a guitar anymore as I used to. Not at all. Because I can't do all the nuancy things. Hammer-ons, pull-offs. I just play really hard to make sure that I'm fretting, but I can't feel my fingertips, so it's really weird. But I think if I can get some feeling and function back, maybe I can love it. But if I did come back, it would be only for Brain Stewed, and it would only be for limited appearances, because that was a coming of age band for me, and I love Green Day so much. And to Mike said something before, the world's my oyster. I'm so beyond getting contracts every week and looking at them and saying, how much money do I want for this to play Summer of '69 for the 1,055th time? And don't get me wrong, when you're performing, the misnomer is everyone's oh yeah, well, playing those songs sucks. No, it's not. Not when there's 400 or 2,000 people singing it back to you for 200 different reasons. People choose to go out to enjoy a performance, and if you give it to them, they could have went to a football game, they could have went to a movie, they could have went anywhere but watch your band. So if people are there and that's what they want to hear, give it to them, and give it to them in a way that they want to come back. Mm-hmm. And I've reached a point with my body where I just can't do that the way I want to anymore. And I'm okay. I don't want to be, like I said this in the last show, man, I don't want to be that guy that's 60 years old on stage. I'm playing everything at half tempo, dying, and everyone's like, this guy has been ridden away hard and put away wet one too many times. I just want to have fun and play music, and I also don't need a crowd. I know that if I want to call these guys and say I'm flying back up to Appleton for a night, let's go play pinball and jam for an hour and a half on stuff like that night. Mike talked earlier about that practice. That was my favorite practice in the last 10 years. It was we got done, we worked through a couple new tunes, and it was one of those, we only have an hour, and Derek's like, well, we got everything set up. Do you guys just want to play through Dookie and then Insomniac? And the next morning I got up, I had to fly out of O'Hare for work, and I literally put those two albums on front to back, and I listened to what we played the night before, and it just brought back getting my driver's license and playing Westbound Sign, pulling out of the parking lot of the old DMV at that shitty strip mall by the Northland Mall, and just, it brought back so many memories. And it was that was a practice. That wasn't even a show. Mm-hmm. And it was the most fun I had had in a really long time.
I don't even think that was our practice, was it?
No, it wasn't. You were running sound. It was one of those ones where
that was a stew practice with Blake.
It was a stew practice, and Blake's like, I can only work for an hour. Let's just grind on these 3 new songs, and I got a bolt. And we were sitting there talking, and Derek's like, you mirror image the kit quick, and you're like, do you guys just want to jam through these things? And I was like, sure. And then I looked at Mike, I said, well, I didn't sit down and learn the tribute style of some of these bass lines, like Sassafras Roots and which is really involved. And he's like, dude, let's just play through it. Who cares? And it was so much fun.
It was a great time.
Oh, it was a great night.
Yep.
Well, again, what can people expect on the last show tonight? When does it start? Who's playing? where, we should probably recap where it's at again.
Yeah, what's the lineup?
So so this is the fun part. These guys are smiling because they're like, this is Drew. We don't know till we actually get there.
Keeps it spicy.
No, so it's from 4 to 10 tonight. From 4 to 5 is Naughty Monkey. And then my brother's going to come up and do 2 songs with Mike and Austin. And we're going to do an original from high school and another song that was on my brother's bucket list to play. And then after that, Brain Stew's going to throw down from like 5:45 to like 6:45. And then Audiochonk's going to play up until 8:30. And then Infrared's going to play. Derek and I are going to do one last song since the last song I sing is a song I've wanted to sing since I started taking voice lessons from Craig Hawkinson, and I've never been able to hit it. And even tonight, after 2 hours of bangers, I'm going to struggle, but like I'm promising everybody, if you're going to see it, you're going to see something really raw and gutsy, and it's just kind of my last thing I want to say to people from being an every weekend performer to fall back in love with music again. Who cares about crowds? Who cares about covers or originals? Just fall in love with the dialogue between an audience and an artist. And the way I'm going to do it tonight is going to be different than probably anything anyone's ever seen. But don't worry, I'm keeping my clothes on.
That's literally the thoughts I was having.
It's not where I'm at, but
reading my mind.
It's just, I guess what I'm saying is we put so much intensity into the smoke and the lights and everything, and tonight I'm going to ask Jesse to turn the house down, and I'm going to give a toast, and we're going to drop this song, and when I'm done, I'm going to blow my guts out on stage, and that's it. Then that's a career. And that's that.
I want to thank you guys for doing the show today.
Thank you.
Drew, Mike, Derek. It's a sad day today in the Audiochonk world, but also a very happy day. And hopefully everybody gets down there and celebrates the history of this band. And I know I probably speak for everybody that's an Audiochonk fan. Look forward to hearing what you guys have coming in the future, your projects.
Yeah.
Any final words for the Audiochonk fans that are watching the show?
I already said my piece. I'll let you guys
Meow,
do it.
meow, kitty.
Yeah.